Hello, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube. This is Jazwon, Jazwon, over the Addicted Gamers channel. Um, if for anyone who decides to subscribe to my channel, I'm just going to let you know videos going to be coming out sporadically um, because I don't know exactly what my schedule is going to be, and just a lot of stuff in gaming don't really pique my interest that it's worth talking about. So um, I hopefully soon I'll come up with the regular schedule, and if I'm able to get a capture card, then I can start doing some things that are live, and start displaying my horrible video game skills, because a lot of the stuff I'm not that good at. And also, please forgive me for talking a little low, because again, I'm in a apartment building. I've done this recording like several times, so if this doesn't come out entirely right at this point, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't care. But I really wanted to kind of do this vid because it seems, it seems that when it comes down to gamers, how should I say, in over E3, a couple of people made some tweets. It was Anita Sarkeesian, I know, and Brianna Wu. And, they were just basically complaining about, violence in tweets, and I was like, okay, what does that have to do with anything? So I got to thinking about those tweets, and I said, you know what? I'm going to make one last Gamergate video. And in this video, I'm going to attempt to try to do three things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to at least give my own definition as to what I believe Gamergate is really about. The second thing that I'm going to do is talk about, some of the main people that Gamergate are focused around, and discuss not in detail but broadly some of the things that those who are on the anti-Gamergate side are concerned about, and whether or not they're valid. And the third thing I'm going to try to do is, try to tell those who are on the side of Gamergate to try and give them their next, marching orders, because there are some things that we need to realize, and we need to understand that there are just some people who we're focused on that are not important at all. To start off, give me a moment. Again, please forgive me, I'm having a slight sinus problem. To start off, my definition of what Gamergate is. To me, Gamergate has to do with the validity that some feminists and so-called social justice warriors have about gaming. To me, that's what Gamergate is all about. It seems that because of feminism, and their need to invade male spaces and have those spaces changed, to their liking simply because they feel that they deserve it. Women, it seems like a lot of women have taken an interest in video games, which, again, is not a bad thing. It's just, the issues that I have with certain people who have turned their gaze towards gaming. And it seems that when they did, it wasn't really to come in and enjoy gaming with us. It was to criticize it for everything that they didn't like about it. one of the things that I'm going to constantly refer back to, or one of the series I'm constantly refer back to is Edith Sarkeesian's Tropes Against Women in Video Games. I believe that's the name of her series, because it does sort of touch broadly some of the issues that these people have, about women in video games. And one of those issues is supposedly the damsel in distress trope. Again, I don't even see how it's valid. It's something that's hardly used in gaming, going back to after the Super Nintendo and Genesis era. I haven't really seen it used that much. Something else that I also wanted to talk about, women as background decorations. No. When Anita had talked about this, she mainly referred to, I believe it was two games, Assassin's Creed and Hitman. Now, in Assassin's Creed, the reason why she pointed it out was, because women most of the time were used, as a mechanic to hide the main character so that, he can slip past certain points undetected or whatever. And, she made a point that they were always, just prostitutes, that they were just, objects or whatever. But the thing that she don't understand is that a lot of women during the time that, Assassin's Creed, especially that mechanic, I believe, was really introduced in Assassin's Creed 2, because I believe I forget exactly where it was. The Assassin's Creed 1 was centered, but I believe it was the religion that it was set in was Islamic. So they were going to have anything concerning prostitution there at all. But I know prostitution was very prominent, during the setting that the Assassin's Creed 2 series took place in, with Ezio Auditore. And the thing, she pretty much just lied, about what it was all about. Because the thing that people don't, that she fails to mention is that women at that time, they did not, hold a lot of positions of power and stature. Either you married, or maybe you ran a bakery, or you cooked, or you did prostitution, and that was pretty much it. I don't see, the sexism that was involved there. And again, it's nothing to really, dwell on. As a matter of fact, these issues, it seems to me, are nothing to dwell on. But I'm just gonna kind of run through them anyway. And again, I apologize for this video being boring. But the other game, Hitman, she made the point that the player was encouraged to kill strippers, and you actually got points. Anybody who played that game that is not what it was all about. And if gamers actually saw that, gamers would have actually said something about it. Because gamers in general do not have a negative, any negative attitudes towards the female gender. They just don't. As a matter of fact, how many male gamers have said that they wish that they could get women to sit down alongside them in game. We never cared about women wanting to game, or wanting to create games, or having any kind of involvement in games. And I don't even know if I'm going to continue to go through the issues, because again, it's not, to me, they're not valid. They're not even worth talking about. Talk about how sexuality is portrayed, or women's sexuality is portrayed in gaming. And one of the things that they turned to, was Dragon's Crown. the first thing that people need to understand is that showing tits and ass on screen does not in and of itself constitute sexism. It just don't. Is it objectification? Yes, of course it is. But if we all know and understand there's not a damn thing wrong with objectification, because sexuality is part of our being, and we objectify each other every day. It's just something that we do. If a man walks across a woman with a nice ass, he might take a quick look at it, and then he keep on going. If a woman see a nice looking man, with chest or whatever, walking down the street, she's gonna take a quick look, go on about her business. You know what I'm saying? We objectify each other every day. So, I mean, again, just to reiterate, showing tits and ass on screen does not in and of itself constitute sexism, and it's not even hardly worth talking about. I can't really think of any other issues off the top of my head at the moment. The damsel in distress trope. Well, I already talked about that earlier, but even if somehow it was used, and not necessarily in a traditional sense, but the fact that within the story, for some reason, a male had to go save a female character, and any game that actually shows that, feminists and SJWs want to lose their bowels over it. Again, I don't even see how it's valid, because again, a lot of games in this day and age not portray women in a negative light, and it's kind of like Leona K, which I'm going to have a description to her channel. In the description says, you can't judge video games the same way you judge, say, movies. There's just not a lot of games that portray women in a negative light, period. Now, the one thing that I will sit here and say, there are a few things that I will give feminists and SJWs that I will give them. One, diversity. There can be more women in video games, in which a lot of women have debuted in this current E3, in video games. I know one of them comes to mind is Recore. Quite a few games that came out for Xbox One and PS4. I know Nier is another one. So I mean, quite a few women, are now coming out in video games. So again, that's big deal. Who actually cares? Bravo, we have a woman here now. And if the game is good, I'm going to pick it up. Okay, no sleep lost over that. Hope they're happy about it. But again, just to close it out. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I know what I was talking about. I will give them that there needs to be more diversity. There needs to be more strong female characters in gaming, and there needs to be more people of color, because everything that came out, even though there was a lot more women, everything is just white. So there can stand to be some black, some Hispanic, some Indian, some Native American, some other melanated person in gaming. So that's one of the few things that I'll give them. And again, just simply because, typically on the fact that women, there's not a lot of women in video games. By I guess default, you can sit here and say that a lot more women, I guess, needs to have more positive representation in games by default. Everything else that they come up with, and I have seen feminists and social justice warriors, I can't even bring up a lot of the specifics, but it's a load of bullshit. Um, Now, to talk about a couple of people that it seems like Gamergate is focused on. A lot of these people are not relevant. Anita Sarkeesian, and I mean, just listen, just go back with and just be determined that you're going to have a neutral mind. And go back and listen to Anita Sarkeesian's series, Tropes Against Women in Video Games. If you just listen, you may not necessarily. Well, first of all, let me take that back. You will have to know something about games, okay? You have to know something about games that have been released. If you just listen to that entire series with an open mind, totally neutral, you will see that she is full of shit. And as far as I have seen, she has yet to defend her own series, which remains incomplete. She has the audacity to try. She, a while back, had the audacity to try and call out certain YouTubers on her critique when she hasn't defended her own work. And as a matter of fact, when you really listen to her, she has yet to really defend her own position. And I mean, all you just have to do is go back and listen to a lot of her tweets. And I'm not going to really get into some of the specifics because, again, this video is getting kind of long. And I actually want people to sit here and listen. Zoe Quinn, I mean, what more do you need to sit here and say? She tries to come across as a woman who has some sort of moral superiority that she needed to try and thrust upon us straight cis male gamers when herself, she has moral issues, to begin with. I mean, exactly how did she begin to have some sort of influential voice in video games? And some of you who are actually listening to me, especially if you're anti-gamergate, you may just want to sit here and say, well, people like me just love to slut shame. I'm not slut shaming Zoe Quinn. People need to understand. And a lot of people on Gamergate didn't really care about Zoe Quinn supposedly sleeping with multiple people. It's just the fact that she used those relationships in order to, gain more status. And that is an issue. And that's all it is. So Zoe Quinn just got exposed. And again, what much does she have to say about gaming? Really not much. So I mean, again, just go back and look at her tweets. She doesn't have much to say about it. And then you have Brianna Wu, who actually has a horse in this race, but again, how is she valid? I mean, she's doing pretty good with the series that she has, and it seems to be a well-crafted game. It's not a game that I would necessarily play, but I can appreciate a game that is well-crafted and put together, and I know that there will be some people who would actually like it. Some people who would actually enjoy a game like Danganronpa for the PlayStation Vita. They may enjoy the game Life is Strange on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. But I mean, just because it's the same style, it doesn't have the same setting, or style of characters, or style at all. But they may enjoy Life is Strange. But when she made the tweets that she did at E3 along with Anita Sarkeesian, I believe her tweet went along the lines of, how horrible the violence is in Fallout 4, imagine, if they created a game that was based around crafting medicine. Well, okay, all right. Just because you don't like gratuitous violence in video games does not somehow make it wrong. And doesn't make you somehow morally superior to the rest of us who actually like that kind of shit, who think that is awesome. So, what is your point? You know, what exactly can you add to this conversation? Not much. If you want to create a game where you in a post-apocalyptic world and you wanted to have it focus on crafting medicine, be my guest. You create that shit. Create that shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm probably not going to play it, but if it's a well-crafted game, I can have, you know, a certain appreciation for it, and good for you. You will be able to serve that audience, but you're not speaking for the rest of us. So she doesn't have a lot of validity in this conversation. The only thing about these three people is that the only reason why they have a voice is because they're well-funded voices. And those voices don't have much to say. They just don't. And I don't understand why people want to focus on them so much. They don't deserve the time and energy. Now, if I could give Gamergate their marching orders, people need to understand that they don't need to engage necessarily people and focus on whether or not they're good or they're bad. They need to focus on their ideas. Okay, they need to focus on their position and focus on their validity. That is the only way that we can really resolve this issue. When and I mean really, as far as at least those are on the side of anti-gamergate, challenge them on their issues. Just challenge them. You know what I'm saying? And because anybody who makes a certain stance, they should be well prepared to defend that stance, to pretty much defend that stance. How should I say? Well, pretty much what I said. They should be more than prepared to defend that stance, and have something of substance to say. And as far as there are groups that actually need to be targeted because of how Gamergate has been portrayed. And again, it doesn't need to be the three people that I've mentioned, because again, I've said time and time again, they have no validity. You need to, as far as groups, you need to focus on who actually gives these people a voice. So you need to target groups like ABC and MSNBC for their blatant one-sided coverage of Gamergate. You need to target people like Polygon and Kotaku, who for some reason want to focus on a character's boob jiggle physics in a game like Street Fighter V, in which, again, why would you want to focus on the way a woman's boobs jiggle? Whatever. Get out of here. Focus on them and engage them. Don't come out and say why they need to shut down or why they don't need to not have any more coverage toward Gamergate. Challenge their position. That's what needs to happen. When you go into the comment section or when you engage some of these journalists directly, their position needs to be challenged. And they need to see the true face of Gamergate. Because those who have went to send death threats and dox these people That's some ridiculous shit. Okay, it is. At the end of the day, it's just video games. It is not that damn serious. And man, if you're gonna be that damn pissed off about gaming, imagine if you ever wake the fuck up and you pay attention to politics. Imagine you sitting here listening to a politician say that um, they don't need to raise minimum wage because they don't feel like the average American worker doesn't work hard enough. Who the fuck does he think he is? Okay. Um, Imagine how angry you'll get at the additives that are being added to your food that our children are eating, and they're being banned in other countries. But for the almighty dollar, they're letting them be used in our, be consumed here in the United States. Again, if and there are more and more issues that you can go into. If you ever wake the fuck up and actually start to really pay attention to what goes on in the world of politics, you'll be you may be inspired to try and send a damn death threat to Congress or to your statesmen, because this some of the stuff that goes on in the United States is bullshit. And I'm going to start talking about this stuff on my other channel, Addicted Political Connection. But if you're going to send out send out death threats, to these motherfuckers. Send out a death threat to, Wall Street, to have them afraid to, go to work every day because they, get millions and millions of dollars and don't pay nothing in taxes. Send them a damn death threat. You know what I'm saying? Don't sit here and send a death threat to people who basically have this delusion that there's somehow an active effort to keep women and LGBT community out of gaming. Don't do that, okay? So that's all I have to sit here and say on it. Oh, and by the way, as many of you all know, and I'm just going to say this last part because those who are on Gamergate would get angry at me for not mentioning this. Those who are on anti-Gamergate, while they may receive death threats that have never been carried out yet, they have actually caused those who have supported Gamergate to actually lose their jobs. And that's the difference. Those who are on the side of anti-Gamergate have actually affected people's lives unfairly and have gotten away with it. Whereas, Anita Sarkeesian can just get paid thousands of dollars for canceling a speech like she did. I believe it was at Utah, I think it was, for some BS death threat that she got. Again, it's not even worth mentioning. A lot of people who are in Gamergate pretty much know what I'm talking about. But that's all I have to sit here and say. Again, I didn't really go into specifics on a lot of things, but I do want to create some dialogue because there may be people who are on both sides may say there are some things that I don't get, that I don't understand, and I need, and I need to realize. And if you will, in the comment section or whatever post that I post within groups, talk about that. Post sources for me to read because I really want to learn more about this. And it's at the end of the day, and again, this is not me trying to play a neutral role in all of this, because again, if you listen to my video, you have gotten the gist that I'm pro-gamergate. So that's nothing to it, but no one side is totally right. You have to sit here and admit to that. But again, just show some things that you probably say that I don't realize that I've completely missed or glanced over, or some things that you probably say that I haven't seen or that I don't understand. and I would love to take a look at it because again, at the end of the day, um, I just care about gaming, and I want to have the right position. I use that term, the right position, um, in all this, which I don't know if there's any total right position to be, but at least I want to be in the right place, in the right area on this issue, and I just want to hear everybody's thoughts and everybody's opinions on this. So, I mean, that's all. If you like anything that I had to say, please rate, comment, and subscribe. And above all else, please do comment because again, I do want to have more discussion. Thank you for listening to me. This is Jazwon, JAZWON, over the Addicted Gamers channel. Have a beautiful day.